All right, so now that we've shown how for infinity, for etzem to express itself, there are 10 natural steps that occur according to the way that we break things down. Either it's in a condensed fashion or an orderly fashion. It's not really orderly, it's more like contextualized, because there are now two dots that are in conjunction to the other, whereas if we're only using this ability of expressing in a condensed fashion, then there is no connection between the two. And now we're going to see how it plays out. So say we have 10 consecutive dots. So we wrote digits next to them just to express the point. After we do that, there is no real transition from one to the other. It's either it's a 0, or it's a 1, or it's a 2, or it's a 3. And after Atzmus expresses itself in this fashion, now it expresses itself also with the Kav, and it creates the connection between each and every one of them. And really the point of the Kav is to keep in context the upper one and the lower one, the upper dot and the lower dot. And it bridges the gap between the two extremes. Now, since these are only dots, there is no real bridging that can happen in between them unless we introduce that in between each and every one of these, there's also the same process of 10 Sefirot. And then what we're doing is we're writing the same thing again, and we're saying that the Kav is just creating connections between each Sefira as the head and any other Sefira as the bottom of it, the bottom of the Kav. So it starts off from 0, being able to connect all the way to 0. And then the result of that is 0, 0, and then 0 connecting to 1, and the result of that would be 0 to 1, 0, 2, and 0, 3. And it's just drawing lines from the top to the bottom throughout the whole Seder Shtalshelus that already exists. And by doing that, it's actually introducing that there is a transition from the first dot to the second dot in the form that each dot has 10 Sefirot inside of it, and then the more we progress, the closer it gets to 1. It's not yet 1, it's still a 0, but it's the part of 0 that is closest to 1. So if we take 0, 9, it's the closest point that 0 has to 1. It's not 1 yet, it's still a 0, but it's at that point. And this is what we call Malchus of, say, Chochmah, if we were to give them names. But the names haven't appeared yet. And this first chunk is what in Kabbalistic terms is called the 10 Sefirot of Igulim, or Igulim De'ak. And then the introduction of the Kav to that is what is called Adam Kadmon, or Ak. And that's the direct product of using the Kav on the digits that were introduced using the Nekudos.